This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your live chat for Sunday. Man, 11/13/2022. If you're watching this after the fact, I'm going to hit play. I'm going to let people kind of roll right in as long as they as needed. You know how it is. People usually don't show up right when the party starts, which is fine. So I want to get a bunch of people in here, get questions, get everybody situated. And yeah, let's do this. 6:30 mark. So if you are newer to the channel, oh man, where do we start? I feel like we should just wait until the 6-minute mark because I think there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of thoughts. Let's just let people come on in. So hopefully you're doing well. Had a good weekend. Went for a hike earlier. Assuming a lot of people are, I don't know, it's that season where people watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of football. Saw NC State lose to Boston College. That was a nightmare. At home on senior day. Anyway, it is what it is. Y'all come on in. What up? What up? Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. There it is. Always love this VIX chart. It kind of shows you, yeah, it was pitiful to watch. Kind of just what you can expect from the market. Crashes, crash risk, high-end range, elevated risk, purely directional plays when the VIX is so low. I don't know if many of y'all remember VIX just hasn't been in the low teens in a while. But if you were around, you remember we talked about, man, the VIX did not confirm the breakout. Look what we said. This gap could fill in time. Nobody thought that was possible. Nobody knows. Yeah, just letting people come on in. Come on in. I'm going to be able to see your questions in the Discord room. I'm going to keep this in the background. Y'all can't see the screen, but I will be able to read them. To read the questions. I think a lot of people hopefully might come in here for, I don't know, ask the hardest questions. I really don't mind. I think trading is one of those things we talk about. Like, it's hard enough to predict what's going to happen, but can you execute? Can you execute it? That's where it almost seems magical at times. So, yeah, please ask questions. I'm not really going to, I guess I could kind of run through everything. But yeah, another week, here it comes. It's going to be a interesting one, as we all know. Hello all. I'm curious to just see how it all plays out. We know OPEX, CHOPEX, typically topping and bottom in the market happens during OPEX or the first and last 3 business days of trading in a month. Right now we're going into OPEX and it's feeling like it might want to top out up here. I think the question becomes is ultimately, if you go look at the Stock Traders Almanac, you got bullishness on Tuesday and you got bullishness over Thanksgiving. Keep in mind, I could see the market holding up into Thanksgiving. And then, ding. Not that you couldn't start maybe your short position next week, but just don't be surprised. Just do not be surprised if the market holds up. There's so many things I want to talk about, but we'll just get into one stuff. Just let this kind of roll in. Oh man, real estate is an interesting dynamic right now. We have what I'm calling anchor mortgages, like people who have mortgages at 2-3% are just like, I don't want to sell. And they're all trying to rent at once, and it is flooding the rental market in certain places, which, you know, usually rents stay pretty stable when people aren't buying, but you know, you're in this cycle. It's part of the time of the year where ain't nobody buying. So it's kind of funny how, I guess not funny. I'm struggling with getting a tenant in one of my properties. Just everybody and their mom, grandma, their cousins like, well, I don't want to sell. I got a mortgage at 2.5%, 3%. Why don't we rent it? It's a race to the bottom so you can get the rent filled first. And you were getting bottom of the barrel tenants because it's the holidays. Who's moving over the holidays? People are getting kicked out of their properties. People who are either relocating starting January 1st, potentially. People getting evicted. Those are the... it's not a wide talent pool, as I would call it. But that's real estate. You know your downsides, you know. Just is what it is. So I appreciate everybody being here. I know Sunday night I'm in Mountain Standard Time, so it's still pretty early. I figure run this about an hour. Don't want to keep people up too late. So yeah, buying miners mid-December. The Feds, I'm starting to think that could be delayed this year without the big whoosh, of course. Yeah, again, Eric, if you're listening, I honestly think there's going to be some heck to pay here in a couple, either next week starting or weeks to come. It just doesn't, unemployment's picking up. Inflation, if it holds up, I mean, there's just so much junk out there. But we're not trading the economy. Remember, we're trading the market. And we'll have to see what the levels are. See what happens. A lot of people always do that. They're like, well, the economy this, the economy that. And it's like, man, bear markets. They average, I don't know, 17 to 20% bear market rallies. And then you see, on average, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them. I can't remember the exact statistics. But it's like, you don't just race to the bottom. It's not like the market tops and then goes, zzz, bow, right down to the lows. No, it's a trader's market. Trader's market. Not traitor. Traders. People don't ever think like that. It's going to get ugly at some point. Oh, totally. Remember, the trash floats last, and I would consider tech about as trashy as it gets. Trashy as it gets. So, let me end this. And just, welcome everybody. This is live chat for Sunday, November 13th, 2022. If you are new to the channel, I appreciate you checking this out. Just going to be open mic, open forum. Usually these are the best because now we really dig into a lot of the psychological potential issues that people have. Because trading, not only is it, trying to beat the market, but also you gotta win mentally. Because you can't win mentally if you're emotional. I say this all the time to people. Like, good luck trying to execute anything when your brain is in a state of emotional excitement. Think about it like, emotions cloud judgment. Well, in trading, emotions lose money. Cloud judgment make you do real dumb things. Discord room. If you are watching this, there is one link on Twitter that is open. That is the only invitation, and it will be shutting down soon. Probably, a couple hours. If you're watching this after the fact, you want to get in, stop by my Twitter account and DM me. I love to hear your stories. It's very interesting to hear how people come to be where they're at. I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations, super chats, all that stuff. It's appreciated because I know a lot of people are starting to realize, even if you're not, even if you had ups and downs, you realize like the tuition, being able to walk the walk with somebody, friends, people who give a crap to get through it. Because this is not easy. I'm telling you, trading is going to expose every single weakness you have. And when I say weakness, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, whatever, it's going to expose it. And if you are willing to change and adapt, ooh boy, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. So, all right, let's just start the questions off. Dwayne, I don't have a large enough count to large enough position for Larry, and 1 or 3 puts would be max pain on stock. I was thinking of stock system would be treat puts. Again, if you're in the Discord room, I have a whole lot of, let me see, where's the options chat? 17 rules, pretty complicated, meaning that it's in depth. Where is that? Should be at the top. Maybe not. It's somewhere in here. But yeah, hit me up if you're interested in those rules, or if you're in the Discord room. Where are they? Options chat. Maybe I put it under resources. I don't even know my own board. And embarrassing. No, not under recommend reading. It's probably under education. Yep, it's going to be under education somewhere. If not, where did I put it? Someone help. It's going to be, all right, whatever. We'll talk about it. Options aren't easy. Just treat them the same way. Layer in, layer out. You got to be thoughtful. Yeah, Dwayne, I don't know why are they not in here? Lupus, if you're around, hit me up. I got to drop those rules back in there. But we've talked about it. There's 17 of them. You got to be very careful. Options in themselves. If you don't understand the decay, you don't understand the process, you don't understand how they're priced, you don't understand how you have to trade them, and ideally you want to sell them into strength always versus a backup. Say you're got an option and the stock is ripping higher, you want to sell it as it's ripping higher. Sorry, just trying to find these notes. Whatever. They're somewhere around here. Hit me up. I got them somewhere. Anyway, questions. Prophetic poet. Question about it.
I'm not sure.
Come on, Siri. Commentate. Question about identifying leaders. No, tech is dangerous, folks. But the ML also wanted bull trap. Remember early on saying leaders lead both up and down. So is SMH a leader? No. SMH is absolutely not a leader. It's an absolute laggard. Lagging. But it's an ETF of the market. Like, you have to keep that in mind. It's like the leader of the crap pack, if that's the best way to describe it, right? Like the crap pack, as I'm calling it. Like, it's tech. Upper left, lower right. Well, SMH is a big part of it. However, you have to just be aware that within each individual sectors, there's leaders of the sectors, ones that are going to move better than the other. It is the crap pack, right? It literally is. So, you have to remember tech and the tech war. I put out the video in November. If you haven't watched it, it's pinned to my Twitter page. Commodities, inputs become the future winners in a underinvested commodity bull market. It just always happens. And tech is deflationary. But guess what? As their inputs rise, their margins get absolutely squeezed and they crap all over each other just to squeeze each other out. People don't remember AMD going nuts and going just high, then back to $2, then popping back $2. It's just a mess. Maybe $1. Yeah, it was definitely $1 at some point. I'm on the SMH monthly. You can see. Like, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get absolutely ugly at some point. People don't realize it, but it just is what it is. Just is what it is. Good question. Greetings. Exit price target for Netflix. Good question. So, Brian, I've been taking more profits the more I'm up. I'm half out. We bought down here in the 250s. I will probably take most of my profit, anything over 300. Get me up into fill this gap, I'm gone. Absolutely gone. Now, here's the hardest part here is if it doesn't get up there, what do you do, right? Hence, you've been taking profits. The first dip should get bought. Potentially. Ideally. It usually does. Like, first dip gets bought, and then you find out a higher or the next high if it's going to sustain or not. My thinking is, at worst, if you made 30, 40 points, like we talked about, if you make 40, 50 points in this market, you should probably take the profit, cut the cord, and just move on. Set your stop to whatever you're comfortable with giving back. That is the key. That's very hard. Yeah, that's how I am. I've lowered my position size, hoping, again, I hate the word hope. It's a terrible thing, but because if you hope in trading, but as we talked about, like, this is not bearish to me. This basing pattern, breaking out, back testing it, should at least get you back to 300. And if it doesn't, well, then this is why trading is not an absolute game. Something must happen, something in the news, something of not our control would bring it back down. 3 things you're looking for before you start shorting. Okay, great question. The 3 things I'd be looking for is the VIX. Always. If the puts get cheap enough, and we talked about, nobody believed this gap would fill. Go watch previously. I said if the 20-day, I was like, oh, God, we might fill this gap. Talked about on the monthly, too, before. If you're familiar, again, I don't know who's following or not, so I'm just going to pretend everybody knows nothing and answer your questions the best of my ability. Talked about the backup before the pop in 2008. Feels like this is the backup before the pop. Now, again, if a bull market is starting, which is highly unlikely, it probably going to be like the 1970s where you get pretty ugly up and down moves, then maybe it doesn't spike into what I would consider like I want to see upper 40s, mid 50s minimum to consider a capitulation bottom. At some point we will open up. Absolutely think we should open up. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on that. I would be very thoughtful, though, of ultimately, all right, this is one thing, VIX, right? The VIX can chop out, too. Keep that in mind. It can hit its base and chop. It can hit a base and chop. So if you're thinking to yourself, the first bottom in the VIX, absolute buy of puts, just write in your notes. Chop, bottom. I'm writing it in because, again, I need to always look at this stuff. Chop, bottom, VIX. That would be my guess. And it might have to do with what? Some of these election things coming out. I mean, what's data this week? You don't really have a ton until later in the week. I mean, it's kind of a void going to the holidays. Remember, holidays are usually seasonally bullish. Not a lot of players around. So one is the VIX. Number 2, IWM. The IWM always leads. Bonus. It always leads. It did not confirm the new lows in October, in September, when the markets were pulling back, and now it's making higher highs and higher lows. Personally, I think you're getting in this zone. 190, 185. How much higher? We'll see. I'd like to see this peak before the rest of the market. So that's 2. I guess number 3, I'd like to start to see the leaders start to crack. Because, the trash will float up last. And so you need leaders to crack. Well, what's leaders? I would say oil, certain commodity names, Exxon Mobil, maybe even certain sectors within the tech leadership, right? Like Apple. As much as I hate tech, like if Apple is rallying, right, and it's probably not, the market's not going to roll over. So this is a great question. That's what I look for. Watch the leaders, watch the IWM, watch the VIX. I mean, you could probably get top. I mean, we could go into 10 things if you wanted to, but let's just kind of bop around. Options chat, June 28th, 2022. Okay, so it's in there. It's in there. It is in there. Options chat. I appreciate it, my friend. Y'all are great. What? Let me see if I can just pop it. You said June. Wow, man, I didn't realize I was posting so much stuff in here. These notes are pretty in-depth. They're very, again, there's a reason. Options trading is hard. There's page 1, if you ever want. And then you can go to the second, hit pause, come back. Or just hit me up. I'll try to send them to you. There's a lot to know. There's just a lot to know. All right, next one. How much time are you planning for options? Presumably we do see a top in action during options. I know you got some NDAQ for March. For the rest of them, that's a good question, Devin. Personally, I think you could probably go out to, I would say minimum January. But remember, trade around the position. What is the first thing that we always talk about off the highs? The first dip should get bought. Like here in Apple, you had the professional gap down, it dipped to the 20, and it bounced. Here is the key with a lot of this sometimes. You're expecting the first dip, right? I mean, the first bottom retest. Like, that happens a lot, right? I mean, here's another retest of a retest. So if you don't have in your mind, retest happen, that area matters, like that kind of stuff, you have to remember that. Because even coming off a bottom, there's the first pullback, then it goes, right? You see this all the time. You think this is the bottom, oh, it makes another one. But even the following day, it pulls back. You just have to be aware of that. If you are picking the top and you feel like, you missed it, retest or some sort of lower high will come. I can promise that. Because it happens. That's the repeating pattern. I swear to God, people don't study the past. But 9 times out of 10, the V top and the V bottom are bullcrap. Here you go. Chop top. Right? Here you go. Chop top. That chop top. The whole belief that there's a V, and again, even this is the most V-ish possible, it still got back to try to fill the gap. Man, I am on the wrong chart. Thank you. Why is it going back to that? Okay. Man, that's brutal. Chop tops. Let me start it again. First dip, got bought, then failed, right? Here you go. Another retest, then go for a bottom. Talk about bottoms having a higher low. There you go. Thanks, Eric. Man, I can't believe I did that. Chop top in March. Remember? Chop top December. So chop top here in January. You got to expect retest. Here you go. Here's a lower low, but then rallied right back. Whatever the top ends up being, this is where giving yourself time. If you give yourself January, fine. If you ended up trading around it, this is what I would love to do. And give me, who asked me that? Devin. I mean, pick the name. Say it was the SPY. Say you bought up here, this is Apple. Say you bought, and again, remember Apple, SPY, pretty synonymous. If you bought puts, say you bought the 180s, it dropped, and it got down to 166. Maybe you close out half of those, and then when it pops, you buy back you buy 175s to limit your risk if you're doing puts. Or with stocks, same thing. You take off half and you go, all right, is it going to absolutely implode? Well, if it does, the odds of that are what? Probably lower. Because again, every bottom, every top has some sort of chopping mechanism. People do not get that, and it just boggles my mind. Absolutely boggles my mind. So it's a good question. So if you want to buy Decembers, you want to buy Januaries, I get it. I always prefer to have more time with options, and I buy less of them, and I buy them in the money. I try to treat them as extensions of like stock, cheap stock. I want the delta. I want to get the money paid. People like to sell spreads. I don't know. I don't like to bet on no direction. I'd rather bet on a direction when I see a chart potential, because that's how you make 400, 500, 600, 700, 1,000% on one trade. And I tell this to people all the time. You don't need to have 100 great trades, just one good one. One good one. A lot of people are starting to notice that who hang out with us. There might be times where you're not killing it, and you make a few good trades, a few bad trades. Then all you need is one, or one stock that you can trade really well. That's all you need. People try to do 1,000 different things, and I'm telling you, that's hard. That's why we try to pivot mentally, move on when something isn't working right. And if it goes after we get out, it happens. NVIDIA earnings this week could be short-term catalyst up or down. Brian, OC, I would argue that NVIDIA probably runs up into it, because you know how we talk about higher prices or the advertisement for higher prices? Like, that's how you get people to go what? Bonkers, right? People go bonkers. Well, this price action is now advertising to folks, you got to get in. You got to get in. Well, if it sees the 180s, because, I mean, that to me, yeah. I mean, you probably can start looking at shorts. But again, know your levels. Know the market. Look for some of these things for weakness. I always amazed when people are like, Dan, you said short at this price. And I'm like, well, did you just short in a vacuum? Did you just say, I'm not going to look at anything in the market and I'm just going to short the market or short that stock? And it's like, dangerous. Dangerous. That's not knowing your surroundings. Remember, this is war. You're just running around naked with a machine gun and a helmet on, and you're going to get freaking cooked. You got to know what's going on. This is war. Someone's always trying to shoot at you and kill you. Literally. Like the market maker's trying to take your money. Just in case you're on the monthly up. Tech showing strength versus value in commodities last week. Any legs or novice investors chasing higher prices? Again, the trash floats last. We talk about that. In a bear market rally, the trash rises last. Now, it doesn't mean one day, but it rises last. All right, well, let's see what happens, because I'm interested to see when the market starts chopping and softening, do they come back into commodities? Because that's the way you kill. That's the guaranteed, and again, it's not the only way, but it's the guaranteed way to get the market to get smoked, right? Is if the feds have to raise rates further because they can't control supply, right? Raising rates does not fix oil supply, nat gas supply, whatever supply of whatever commodity. That's the key. Yeah, you can't look at a market in a vacuum. No, of course not. That's why we do these recaps every day. If you're not following and watching these every night, I'm doing it because it's good for me. It's good for me. I need it. I mean, think about it. We talk about this all the time. Like, you're going to try to be a professional at some sport or anything, and you don't want to give 30 minutes a day for your craft to practice it. Good luck. Good luck being great at anything. Inverse ETF versus puts. QQUS SPY, NASDAQ for an IRA in the account. Again, I don't play lotto puts, Quilarian. If I want to play the lotto, I'll go buy the lottery. If I want to play puts, I'm not buying lottos. The only time I ever play lottos, if we have a confirmed trend change. Confirmed trend change. Like that lower high, equal high, whatever, timeout. Like, remember how we talked about with gold, like how it was so obvious you had to buy it? The third time was a charm. It's like, all right, well, if you wanted to, you could have probably bought lotto calls for like 160 and you turn them from a nickel up to $5. But the first test, you don't buy lottos. You just don't. You just don't buy lottos on the first test, because now you're picking the top and you're hoping that you're going to be right. And in a probability game, even with pocket aces, you can lose. So it doesn't make sense to buy lottery tickets on the top. No, just talking in general. You know what I mean? It's just probably smart not to do that. So, can't look at the market in a vacuum. The market behaves as an excellent gate for the operator to follow. Yeah, very good. Well said, Drew. Tech trash was really floating up. Redfin, us on Mandy had huge Fridays. Yep. Where are you going to start layering into commodities from your list? I think said after capitulation. Yeah, after capitulation. Again, long-term commodities, I don't have any doubt they're going to be the winners. I mean, I've showed people, again, if you're not familiar. Oh, yeah. Let me just pull up this video. You should watch it. It's at the top. Back to basics. I'll drop it in here. It's very obvious. Like money, once momentum is lost, things change. Things absolutely change. All right, oil kind of opening up. Natural gas, 602. Where's 602? Flat. So, yeah, the way the market behaves. Whoops, quote from Livermore. Yeah, I mean, I tell people, if you have not read this book, and again, I love to, there's only three books. The Almanac you should always have. Again, here, I'll drop all the links. If you use them, I'll get half a nickel for affiliate link. Here is Almanac. Listen to Reminiscent of Stock Operator. Do not buy the hardback because there's nothing to really take out of it when it comes to drawing. This is more understanding of the operators and the market, and then anti-cooling volume price analysis. This is more of a technical book with charts and all sorts of stuff and how volume affects the market, price action, whatever. These 3 books. That's all I recommend. It's all you literally need. Literally. And just watch, again, all the educational videos. AMC, long-term upsides. Beware holding losers. January of 2022. So, yeah, check out, again, if you're not in the Discord, I'm telling you, stop by Twitter, follow. I'm trying to keep people updated. Y'all know. Discord room. Yep. Any questions? So, one more. When you get into solar, ENPH is about added the next 2 weeks. ENPH is getting added to the NASDAQ, so you definitely don't want to short it, Dwayne. ETFs and funds will buy this week. According to my calculated Invesco needs up to 850 shares. Yep, and sure. Yep. Yeah, when a company gets added to the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, it typically leads to buying pressure, which pulls what? We'll pull it up. So if ENPH is getting added, I probably wouldn't be shorting them. Until when? I mean, we don't know. I mean, if things turn ugly fast, go south, maybe. Time to listen to it again. Yeah, I mean, just listen to it till you know. I tell you, like, until you listen to this book and you can just, like, recite it. And the thing that people don't realize, like, I listen to it once a month. Every time I listen to it, something about what's going on in the market pertains to what Livermore would talk about and all of his stories and all of his examples of market and psychology and what's going on in retail and how people are freaking idiots and how operators work, all that stuff. So, wanted to ask about, no, that's about it. Question marks. All right, gonna let it go. Goodbye. No, if you got any questions, pop in, because I think someone asked about CF. That news, now again, we don't know for sure if this is the bottom today, meaning Friday, because the futures are slightly down. The one thing that I love seeing about CF's chart at the close, all this volume. This is operator kind of volume coming in at the end of the day, or trades being paired off. I mean, somebody was getting freaking discount. Double check. I mean, this thing was at 12, and someone was getting it at the 102s. What a gift. I mean, if you watch, again, typically I don't talk about fundamentals because usually I don't. But in this kind of market, they're the only one with clear long-term future fundamentals that are, like, astoundingly good. Earnings up 100%, whatever, year over year. Food costs rising. Farms need, we need more food. You always need more food, but especially in these times, it just seems logical that with what's going on in Ukraine, Russia, all the restrictions on fertilizer, all this stuff. I mean, again, now there might be some grain store or extra, and I don't believe those headlines. Maybe extra wheat, extra soybeans. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. I just try to watch the action, but it just seems logical that these stocks will get bought because what do we talk about? I like stocks that are going lower left, upper right. This is, consider the bear market that's gone on since November of 2021. Say even here, stock was at 67, it's at 108. That's strong. It's like, yeah, Mikey likes. Yeah, that's super strong. So pick your poison now. Again, the futures, what are they down? Barely 13 points. Seems like the big red wave got turn into the baby pool wave. I mean, futures are just inside day. I personally, if you want my opinion on this, I don't really talk politics, but I think the Democrats played the Republicans. They put up a lot of Trump candidates who are probably unfit to be in the positions they're at, or they put them in against Democrats in places that are more blue. Again, it's all a game. And ultimately, I think that hurt the Republicans. I personally don't care. I'm all about green. Yeah, abortion stuff, that doesn't help. I mean, it's... I always laugh at the emotions of politics because it's like they're all a bunch of idiots. It's just, once election season comes, they want your vote. They'll say whatever they get, but we know they don't really work together anymore. They're not friends. It's like diabolical. 0.618 4025. I'd be watching that. So either way, doesn't matter. I think they win the House. Split government. It's going to be hard to get things moving, which I think is not actually helpful. I don't think it's helpful. They need to get a lot of stuff done. There's a lot to do. ALB, Albemarle, this is what, lithium company. Well, look at that. Yeah, that's strong. That is strong, my friend. Yep, lithium. I mean, you broke out. Do you follow through? Man, its monthly's pretty damn steep. I'm just looking at all the different time frames. I like to draw some fib extensions, see what they look like above. All right, I guess you got room. I mean, this stock, yeah, this is definitely fire. Wow. Yeah, I forgot about these folks. Man, remember, look at them. I'm just looking at the monthly. We like to talk about fib extensions. That looks pretty extensious to me. Is LT, I mean, this is the thing that's hilarious is that everybody, and this is where this will come into it too, is that everybody's thinking about Tesla, but you got to think about the inputs. Yeah, this is interesting. LT, let me add this to my other workspace watch list, y'all. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Do I have that one? Here, let me look. No, I don't have that one. Thank you for showing me. LTHM. LTHM. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, I have a list of commodity names that's super duper 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 long. I will be it'll become the daily market recap for commodities at some point potentially, and that's what it's going to be. Because in the bull market, in commodities, you don't want to own tech. And industrials will be good. Banks should hold up. Housing should hold up. I mean, it's everything that does well with inflation, right? Everything that does well with inflation. The only thing I don't like about this one is clearly it's got an upper trend bound. Clearly an upper trend bound. Just keep that in mind. And this is the thing. If this thing pulls back, thank you for putting this on the radar. Oof. You can see some delightful areas. Man, if you got back into the teens, that'd be a steal. I'm looking for now, later, after crash. Yeah, again, lithium is all these things. I mean, it's so funny. People are like, oh, you got to buy, the electric cars. No, you got to buy the lithium. You got to buy the stuff, the inputs for this stuff. Because I'm telling you, just like the dot-com bubble, all that tech, it's not like they disappeared. You had to build it out, though. To all the, technology, it takes materials. When is the time to pick up metals at the lows? Come when you think. Uranium's going to be different. So that's a hard question. We've talked about this a lot. This prophetic, poetic. Talked about, when you break a channel low and then rip back higher lows. The best time to buy miners, just keep this in mind. You need upward trending markets. At worst, chop. Because nothing is safe. The miners will get totally crapped on if the market hits exit velocity and people are out. Because remember, credit crunch, the idea that they maybe can't get funding, fear, people calling bonds. I mean, it just, liquidity crisis. That's where if the VIX is in 30 plus, the miners probably aren't going to be ripping higher. But We could always be wrong. This could be the bottom. You do have volume. Ain't nobody going to argue that. We talked about the monthly. Nobody thought this was going to hit down here. I was like, watch this like 27 range. Look at that. Hey, look at that. Just keep in mind, these things have been dog crap. But there hasn't also been a real gold bull market. This is where if you're late, is it the end of the world? Nah. I mean, these ETFs are probably, I mean, the GDX will probably be, I mean, if it could get to 180 in 2010, I don't wonder how much reverse splits they've done or whatever and how much they've diluted. It doesn't even, it just, remember, higher prices bring higher prices. Like, hey, the fundamentals. Hey, Billy, what do you think about the fundamentals? I don't know. I mean, the higher prices the things go, the more people chase it. Like, especially in a bull market. Leaders lead. That's why in time we'll know who's the big dogs. We'll know who the big dogs are. I'm going to insert this little ad for a second. So they bugging me when to do one. All right. Sorry I was late. Is it too late to be buy dips on edgy side XOP? Higher prices advertising? Yeah. I mean, Neo, we've talked about this. I think if Drew's definitely here, I'll go through it again. XOP, right? Oil service is still the cheapest sector in the S&P 500 on an earnings basis, which is still rather insane, but is what it is. Talked about the 20-day, right? Well, here becomes the biggest question mark. What do we say? The V-top is very rare. Well, that went straight line nuclear. That happens. But typically, you get choppier tops. I would be on red alert. But here's the biggest question, right? And we all know this. The election's over. Are we going to start refilling the SPR? I mean, is there literally a put under oil? That becomes the big question. I don't think anyone's talked about that. Because now we got to refill this thing. If China's talking about going after Taiwan, we got instability in Europe, we got to fill our SPR. That's how I think about it. Now, again, if I'm right, I'm wrong. Again, it's pocket. That to me is pocket kings. The probability that they need to do that soon at some point is very likely. Just keep that in mind. So if you're watching these names, and the same thing with miners, these names do great when the market's ripping, right? They can still get smoked when the market drops. That's what I tell people this stuff. It's like, you got to be careful. Oh, I'm going to buy and hold. And I'm like, no, it's a trader's market. Try to buy the leaders and stay away from the laggards. And when you get laggards and you realize it, you just move on. And you stay in the trends. You try to. So that's all you really can do. People want certainty. If you want certainty, don't trade. If you can't look at the market through probabilities, what are you doing? You are not omnipotent. You do not make the market. Yeah, none of us make the market. We're just trying to swim in the whale's wake. That's what I always tell people. We're trying to find what the operators and the big money are trying to do and follow them. That's the goal. It's not to have opinions that are like fundamentals based or we think this. No. I mean, I laugh at all the times people show me like, hey, I saw this article about ABC stock. What do you think? And I don't read it. Because most times than not, I know the source. If it's like Motley Fool or Alpha, whatever, Bloomberg, all these stupid names. Like, it's just advertisements. I'm very skeptical of this stuff. Now, again, I can see why somebody could get excited about reading something, but that's the goal of a good writer. Is great, should be writing great articles about stuff. At the highs, Tesla's the next going to 5,000. I mean, at the lows, the end of oil. Anyone remember the Time magazine cover from like April 2020? It was like the end of oil. It's wrong. Most of the time than not, the news is not helpful. Just keep that in mind. They're trying to take your money. And people are like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, this is just literally how the market works. Here are the 8 rules. Hit pause. Check them out. Miss Cooling figured it out. Quoting Richard Nye. Yes, a specialist. How do they work? Goal is to take your money. They enhance their sales techniques through the use of the mass media. Yes, buy everything Kramer says. And this is what's funny. Kramer's ETF, his inverse ETF, will probably come out at the market bottom, and his ETF will do amazing. That's what's going to be funny. After it's all said and done, the greatest publicity agent in the worldwide is a ticker, and by far the best advertising media. Yep, by far. Yeah, Drew. I mean, it just makes sense. Yes. Think about how we know you're at the highs, right? We talk about this all the time. Right? How do we know you're at the highs? Right? Advertising. Everybody goes from hating the life, hating the world, to what? Market's going higher. Do y'all see that? Like, that's how you know. Like, everybody's excited. The media's pumping and they're going 4,500, 5,000. Bull market, time to go. Everybody, let's do this. You got to get long. At the lows. End of the world. End of the world. End of the world. That bet on, yeah, ExxonMobil special. Yep, that was great too. Funny is they actually are conspiracies. A bunch of people, market makers, conspiring to take, yes, it is, conspiring. The irony of words. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, again, people are asking about XLF. I remember this question. Let me drop this. Here you go. I said very nicely. Nobody said really much this. So if you have a broadening bottom, are we going to have a broadening top? I mean, this is my this was my upside target zone, but I'm sitting here going, well, maybe it's a broadening pattern. 36s. Let's draw some fibs. Let's get dirty. Let's do some drawing. I mean, imagine they probably lay out with swing zones. There you go. I mean, I wonder if you draw it to this one. Nope. What about this one? You gotta love how the algorithms work this stuff. Yeah, I mean, you're getting close. And so here's the thing. If you are new to Fibonacci sequencing, you gotta love when the market makers pull something over the 0.618, because the idea that the market believes is that once a 0.618 breaks on a retracement, it's going back to highs. That myself in itself can be an advertisement for a trap. Does this make sense? You gotta love that. You gotta love that. But again, how you draw it, how you want to draw it. I mean, because you could say it hasn't hit the 618, right? You could say it's much higher. You could say it's way up there. But notice, I mean, I like when the 50 was that support resistance, 0.382, little gap in trap area. Someone was asking about BlackRock. Now, BlackRock, remember, keep in mind, banks did really well in the 2000s. Banks did really well. All right, so imagine that was their earnings, or is that just the freaking, no, I guess that was just the day that the music died, the Bears died. Bye, bye, Miss American, bye. No. I guess you should be watching this upper zone. I mean, it's the XLF. It looks just very similar. Close out some of this junk. Everyone's anticipating BlackRock to make mistakes and fail. I mean, if you want to short banks, short European banks. That's the money. That's where, okay. Looks like 790s. European banks are the ones that, I mean, they're gonna implode if there is a continuing bear market. NDAQ, oh, you shorted so early. Yep, I know. March. Got my March puts. When the NASDAQ loses all its volume because no one wants to trade that crap, this stock will get absolutely, I mean, it can waterfall. Just keep that in mind. I mean, it went from 61 down to 47. I know that doesn't look like a lot of points, 15 points, but again, if you buy, the puts are cheap. Got $2 and $3 puts for this, some of these strikes. And it's like, again, picking the top, dangerous. Hence, layering in. Layering in. Just remember that. Layering in. Do not go all in picking tops. I'm telling you, it's hard. And when you are right, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm the man, or the woman, or the dinosaur, whatever you identify as. You're a cool cat. But most times it's not going to happen. Yeah, BRK. Yeah, I found him, Luke, because someone dropped a link. Sorry, I thought I was typing in the Discord room. BRKB. Berkshire Hathaway, B shares. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the bottom, bear market over. This is why we got to be careful shorting. This is why we got to be careful shorting. We'll see what happens. Yeah, and sometimes I just draw things to see how they connect, because I've seen patterns like that from the past. See, they'll try to say this is that. Yeah. I mean, personally, you can't go wrong with Buffett. If you bought dips, that's not 360 down to 260. I mean, he could still take a dive. I mean, from the start of 2020, his stock is still done incredibly well. But he's positioned right. I mean, I worry he's going to eat crap with Apple. I mean, everybody is. I mean, the sour apple at some point. Good question. Thanks to you, Lupus, for dropping this in the Discord room. If you're in the Discord room, it's in the beginner room. If you got any questions, again, if not, I'll wrap it up. This is tough stuff. I mean, even Tesla's trash. We've talked about this. Nobody in their right mind. I mean, if you go watch some of the videos I put out from November, I'm like, this is how you blow off top. Ideally, the bottom in the market is the reverse of this. It's like just this. I don't know if that sound really made sense, but it just vertical down. Are we in the next leg down? This is pretty interesting, this chop zone here. Again, the reason why I I just don't think Tesla's going to do well is for years no one bought it. We talked about buying this. I got friends who I bought it in the 20s and 30s who rode that. And they will let me, I could marry one of their daughters if they wanted. Think of like Game of Thrones. They trust me pretty good if I ever got divorced. I could use their beach houses, their mountain houses. They're very thoughtful. I talked about this candle that changed it all. This candle became, everybody now agrees Tesla's worth 1,000x. Game over. Would you consider Boeing a commodity play in supplying new planes? I consider Boeing an industrial. Industrials are going to do well because they have, a lot of them are vertically integrated, and if not vertically integrated, they're still selling things that need to be, that probably are underinvested, right? Like there's too many chips out there. Are there too many planes out there? I don't know. You know what I mean? Is there too much industrial technology? I feel like it's kind of been underinvested. Now military stuff, they're probably doing great. But just in general, like there needs to probably be, the infrastructure in the whole country needs to be rebuilt, right? Like think of certain industrials, probably Caterpillar. Deere is interesting because they got, I feel like they got some issues with Congress because the way they run their business. Yeah, industrial stuff that builds stuff that, government spending is probably going to have to build upon. Infrastructure. I mean, just think about all that kind of stuff. That's what I think about. Yeah, I mean, how about Alcoa? Aaron, if you ever watch Key and Peele. I don't ever really watch them, but someone sent me that. And I was like, that is pretty damn funny. I mean, this is, if you sold it when we told you to 45, backed off. You sold it 50, backed off. I mean, unreal trading around this stuff. Unreal. Big moves. 36 to 50. You do the math. 14 points on top of 36. It's not too shabby. 40%. Name other. I guess now again people are like, I can get 40% out of that junk stock name, and I'm like, yeah, but it's junk. I can't put big money into trash. I always tell you like, once you trade these speculative, I'm like, because I'm more worried about losing my money. You work all these years to trade and do well, and you start speculating in trash, and in 1 month, not even 1 month, 1 day, 1 week, you lose it all on some crappy name that could ultimately implode, you'll never do it again. Give me that penny stock, Dan. No freaking way. No. I don't want penny stocks. I want names that when I go to sleep at night, I don't worry that they could be worthless the next day. Alcoa is not going anywhere. CF, not going anywhere. Freeport-McMoRan, not going anywhere. Whatever companies that we're following, not going anywhere. Ones that we're shorting, we're hoping they're going somewhere, to the ground. All right, this has been cool. Any other questions, thought processes? I mean, I can keep going. I got a little time. I'm honestly here for y'all. I mean, I think people, just have in their mind that trading is some game where you can just sit around by yourself and figure it out. And I'm telling you right now, the big institutions, big hedge funds, best traders in the world have people helping them out. You have 2 eyes, 1 brain. And I'm telling you right now, you cannot see everything and you cannot be great and perfect. This is a team sport with individual players, right? I can't trade and see everything, but my goal is to teach people how to see the markets and then be able to share that information just like I share it freely now. You got to trade, you set it up. I can't remember who showed me Alcoa, but boom. I mean, thank you. I can't remember who. I was like, they said, look at the volume on that. I'm like, holy crap. Big boy. Big dog. Stopping that. Yet that ain't me and a few people in the Discord room buying this. No, we're like farts in the wind. Somebody. Lost 70,000 on small cap bios. Another one. Don't play with them. No, I mean, anytime they miss, bang. No. FDA approval. Someone gets sick. All it takes one person to die from a drug. Oh, God. I'll play the biotech ETFs. But individual names, I really got to know. I really got to know. All right. MMs want to get people to buy into the new bull to pull the rug. Does tech need to go higher still? I don't know why this is so hard. You asked about SMH earlier in tech. It probably could, right? Wouldn't that be the best advertisement, is to let the trash float up the last but not least, you know? Or I guess last but least. That's what you have to think about, right? Like, tech was going nowhere. Tech is dead, right? Your favorite names, whether it's Tesla, right? Microsoft, I mean, even Apple, back at the lows. They have to bounce last. It's not like they started this, right? Weakness. Meta. I'm still amazed. Like, people were like, oh, I'm going to short it. I'm like, no, you got to let it play out. Pops. That's a pretty solid move. Remember, we talked about them actually cutting jobs. The market might be like that. And then remember, we talk about narratives. We talk about the market makers needing liquidity. It's a liquidity game. They needed liquidity, and guess what? When they were laying off people and everybody was selling and dumping, they were covering their shorts. Metalworker, what? Planning to trade the heck out of OPEX or chill and wait? Me? Oh, man, I love OPEX. I mean, you can trade around your positions. And you can, and again, some people are like, oh, you didn't say when you stopped. Like, yeah, I just put in a trailing stop, a dynamic trailing stop. I don't know. Sometimes I step away. But you got to trade what you got to do. We'll expect the late November. You know, Mel, I said this earlier, right before the video, like the main talk. Seasonally, Thanksgiving is bullish. Like, go look at it. Historically, it is a bullish week. We know that, right? Why is that, right? Because there's low liquidity and people get excited and they see all the people shopping and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Thanksgiving and blah, 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 blah. Same stuff. Gets people excited. Like, CNBC is just looking for a reason to be bullish. So, and in those circumstances, what do you see? Usually a rising market. But we've seen a lot of tops and bottoms during those times. And keep in mind, sometimes OPEX is the top, but you might get the lower high or the retest the next week. Just keep that in mind. Great question, though. I think holding out and start shorting like too early. That would be the smart to let tech float up. Yeah, I mean, think about it. If tech floats up, it gets everybody excited. I mean, people won't be thinking about all the people. And so this is what I love about stocks like this, and people get excited about them. I'm like, do you not realize everybody who bought from 384 down to 113 is trapped? They are trapped. Now, down on earnings, big volume, and reverse back around. That's cool. That's cool and all. But there's so many people stuck. So good luck with that. Time to watch Yellowstone. Yeah. Have a good one. Yeah, Yellowstone. It's funny. My family lives outside of Yellowstone, Tetonia, Idaho. Parents moved there full time in 2020. We got a house in Idaho. Love Idaho. Love Wyoming. Love Montana. Colorado's good, but it's a little too granola for me in a sense. But I like being in the city. I like the city. I like the sports. I like being close to the mountains. If I had to pick anywhere to live right now, it'd probably be Salt Lake. I think Salt Lake's closer to the ski hills, closer to Idaho. But We'll get there when we get there. Yeah. Oh, man. Salt Lake by... why can't I think of the awesome places in Salt Lake right now? It's like you don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What is the ski hill where the Olympics and all that crap was? It's all awesome. That's Snowbird. That is out there. Anyway, you got to like the idea of being able to be like 30, 45 minutes from the ski hill. Here in... Oh, that's cool, Shannon. Nice. In Colorado, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. It's snowing at Beach Mountain, NC today. Ha ha. Alta. Yeah, Alta's cool. Those are all good. What's the town? Freaking, why can't I remember it? Everyone that I would like to live in. What's that name of that stupid town? Oh gosh. Yeah, not Snowbird. What is it? You drive through it when you're going to, was it 70 or 80? I can't remember. Anyway, love it. Absolutely love it. But they get the inversion with the pollution. Let's get some stocks. Whatever y'all got. Give me something challenging. Ask me a question that you have no freaking clue on, man. Man. I get very light snow in Ontario too, man. Very, very difficult questions. I mean, because honestly, the question becomes is, what day maybe does the market top? I don't know. Park City. Thank you. Yes, Park City. Thank you. Why couldn't I remember that? I was thinking of like Park Place, like Monopoly. When do we get my freaking capitulation? Yeah. When I don't know. Yeah, it was Park City. I can't believe I couldn't remember it. I think the capitulation is coming. Maybe the market chops and then I don't know what NVIDIA says. Maybe NVIDIA comes out and says we're laying off half of our employees and we're dropping our production in the market and it spikes for the last little leg up. I don't know. I think we're close though. It's just y'all got to be thoughtful about timing and what to expect. Remember too, Wednesday, let me put that in there. The VIX rollover. So the VIX rollover is typically a down move in the VIX, then followed by an up spike. At worst, one day. Because think about it. If they're selling their VIX to roll into the next contract, I don't know why I don't remember that. The VIX rollover, I think it's Wednesday. Correct me if I'm right or wrong. So that would put us what? Tuesday. Oh, look at that. Bullish Tuesday. NVIDIA, crypto miners don't need new chips. No, they do not. Again, I feel bad for people who hold crypto like it's gold or some sort of asset that you must hold forever. Everything's meant to be traded. I'm telling you right now, I have folks who are like, hey, I'm buying gold and silver. I'm like, yep, same here. Are you ever going to sell it? Yeah, absolutely. There's probably going to be a time in this future where gold, silver, commodities go nuts, becomes popular to invest in that stuff, and we will be liquidating to the masses. Now, will you sell all of your gold and silver, whatever your precious metals at once? Probably not. Just like in trading, say you got 100 grand in gold, say you have, 50 ounces. You just sell a couple ounces at a time, and then when you think it's over, you'll know because you'll be paying attention. ExxonMobil, how much high can go? Good question. We talked about this recently. If you go look at, here, let me change something real quick. Playing around on the other screens. No, I got to put the porn away. No, I'm just kidding. People would make that joke. They're like, oh, you're sitting around trading and watching on the other screens. I'm like, no, I'm not. So there's an upside of the channel. It's like 117. Right? ExxonMobil. Yeah. Sorry, one at a time. I mean, I think your trend lines are meant to be broken too. Keep that in mind. So here's that same yellow line. Puts you at like 117. This thing could get nuclear. Keep this in mind. Like, it could definitely rip higher. Let me redraw some fibs just real quick. Let me draw some real quick. Ulta, I mean, retail, I don't know. I mean, I think the easiest shorts are going to be tech. I mean, retail companies are tough coming out of bear markets because not all retail is equal. We all agree, right? Not all retail is equal. I mean, how do you want to draw this fib? Let's just start here. Nope, that's too much. Well, let me just mess with this. Y'all continue asking questions. I can draw and talk. This isn't drinking and driving. This is talking and controlling this. Let's add, we have the 1618 up there. Let's add the 2. Let's add the 2.382. Let's add the 2.5. Oh, looks like we need the 2.618 now. So that's starting to look a little interesting. Show it to me. 2.618. Okay, well, maybe the channel highs. I don't know. It's getting interesting. Ulta, that one's been all over the place. Again, I don't follow the news on them, but I remember they went like what? What is Ulta? Where is Ulta? Did I type that in wrong? I thought Ulta was Ulta. I guess not. Did they change? Did they change ticker symbols? I mean, no, there it is. Ulta, yeah, the monthly. Oof. But here's the thing, you know, Flip, what's a crappier retailer name? Well, I mean, like, what's a, you know, like, what is the worst retail name out there? I mean, I'd rather short junkier retail than Ulta. Like, if it's acting better. Now, again, it's going to drop with the market. But do you want to short a name that looks better than, I don't know, like, what's crappy retail? I don't know. Nike? I mean, just starting to come off the lows. But overall, I don't know. That's tough, man. Retail is very difficult. Yeah. Let's get into Best Buy. Or no, Bed Bath & Beyond. BBY. Oh. BBBY. Yeah. Crypto falls. Sam are bigger than Bernie Madoff. Crypto? Stuff that I'm reading about FTX and how money got moved from government spending, went to Ukraine, that Ukraine went into crypto, then crypto went into certain political party donations. Ugh, it's so icky. Don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, I don't trust crypto. I don't. I just don't trust crypto. Will cannabis stocks ever get the respect they deserve? No. No, they never will. Cannabis is such a bad industry to invest in. It's so competitive. They don't have the banking. They don't have the banking like most industries. And keep in mind, supply-demand game. It's just there's so much supply of weed. Everyone wants to grow weed, and those stocks peaked. They're just dead money. Now it's not like the weed industry's going away, but the weed stocks are crap. I don't know which one ends up winning, but I would not touch any of them with a 10-foot pole. They are radioactive. I know people try to convince me to buy them here and there, and I'm like, they're dead money. Dead money's dead money. Crypto, EXPR. What is EXPR? What is that? Dead money. Yeah, leave the trash. Put that one in the trash. Express. Express. That's funny. That is funny. Don't invest, just eat it. I guess, yeah. Elf Beauty. What is Elf Beauty? Look at that monthly. What is Elf Beauty? I don't know. Elf Beauty. Is that a new style that I missed out on? Like, there is elf a thing? I guess Lord of the Rings has been hot lately. I don't know, man. Cosmetic. Okay, cosmetic names. I mean, women will buy their cosmetics. I mean, I like that stock better than Ulta. At least this one is just banging out. But here's the hard thing about retail, right? Is there's not a lot of barriers restrictions to barriers to entry. Like at some point, someone will try to outdo you. Roblox making a bounce? Potentially. Yeah, women love ELF. I don't know. Is there a particular stock sector, asset class like crypto that you believe will drag the entire market in the gutter like banks and housing in 2008? All right. I'm going to say this. Probably this will be the best way I can describe it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Here's how I think this all plays out. Right now you have inflation way too high. It's coming down. The Feds, central banks are all in a pickle. Unemployment's going to start rising. Interest rates are above the recent highs. They're at historical normal levels. I think it becomes very obvious that ultimately Europe, Japan, China, the U.S., somebody's going to have a currency crisis. Someone's going to have a debt issue. Because I don't know who in their right mind would want to buy Greek, Italy, Portuguese, I mean, you name it, country's debt. You want to buy Japan's debt? I don't. I know they buy their own with their never-ending money money printer. But that, to me, again, it's the same thing that kind of led in September where, like, European banks hit the bricks. Now, could crypto help bring it all down? Absolutely. It's like, you already got the fire, throw some gasoline on it, right? Like, that'll help. But that you're going to need something. What's up, Cat? Other than just the world's going to end. But here's the thing, right? Unemployment is the biggest wild card, right? Because people can get by with the government spending money, and they can get by with higher interest rates, and people can, people figure out a way, the market adjusts, wages will go up in time. Here's the problem. If unemployment starts picking up dramatically, the Feds now are screwed. That is the wild card. People not having jobs, that destroys the market. And when we say the market, right, like if unemployment starts going quicker, much higher, quickly. And I think we're starting to see that. Tech is opening the door. Hence why I keep telling, lay off tech. It's absolute crap. So just, you got to keep that in mind. That's usually what triggers it. Remember Europe, a housing crisis? I try to be unbiased about housing. Again, we built 25 million homes from 1970s to 2008 every year. From 2008 on, we built only 6 per year. There is still a housing shortage. But could foreclosures pick up? Potentially. But remember, 43% of the houses in this country, the United States, I can't say it's for everywhere, don't have a mortgage. 43%. The other 50% have interest rates between 5% and 2%. It doesn't seem like housing is going to be an absolute problem. It's not going to be the catalyst. That's my opinion. Hence why if I can get this damn renter in, I'm going to buy another property as soon as I can. Lay off tech like they lay off their workers. Yeah, I mean, tech is screwed. I mean, if you want to see a housing market implode, go look at the San Jose Zillow reports. Good God. I thought that's what the Feds want, is higher unemployment. No, they never. No. They have a dual mandate. Low inflation, stable inflation, low unemployment. High unemployment is when they get screwed, because if they start cutting rates and unemployment is rising, but inflation is not in the bottle, you literally are going to see the CPI crank right back up, potentially. Now, we don't know for sure, but that's where it gets scary. Heard someone talking about crypto demise may push the dollar up as the people throw up their white flag and admit the strength of the dollar. I don't know who said that, but we've always said the same thing about good old greenback. Hey, greenback. We've always said the dollar goes out in a blaze of glory. Now remember, who said the dollar was going lower? We talked about it looked distributive up here. Oh, but he had to get up back towards range highs. 28s would be ideal. I've said this, and I go on record. I think the last move up, if the dollar is ever not going to be the reserve currency, then we are going to do the screaming high move. Remember we talked about Tesla blow off top? You're going to see the dollar turn into like straight line move velocity. Velociraptor. I don't know. It's just going to go. It's just going to absolutely carnage. And maybe that's what the Feds want, to restat, like to continue the dollar strength, like dollar supremacy. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know. These are all great questions, but here's the problem with people. Yeah, dollar milkshake theory. Yep, that's right. You know, when debt gets destroyed in other currencies, in other parts of the world, they want dollars. Yep, dollar milkshake. This is where it gets hard. We don't know. This is the problem too, is that when people start creating these narratives that have to happen, you just have to be aware. Like, if somebody, they might see it coming, right? Like, if unemployment starts picking up, maybe that's why the market rallies near term, because it's like the Feds might actually not pivot, but think twice about future rate hikes next year. Well, keep in mind, though, if they're talking about future rate hikes next year lessening, it's because the economy is falling off a cliff. So that's why sometimes when they, pivot, you get a lower low in the markets later. Think about March 2008, right? They started pivoting, if I remember right, in fall of 2008. 2009 was like, bow. Right? That's when this is why the Feds are in this weird predicament, right? Like, are you going to admit the market's weakening? Well, maybe after the election, they could say whatever the hell they want now. This is where it gets tricky. That's why we got to be evidence-based. That's why every day you got to step in and watch the recaps. I'm doing them because I have to. If I don't do it, that's lazy. Every day, stop, look at the evidence, ask questions, get involved. Be humble. If you've never eaten humble pie from the market, it can be expensive as you want. It can be a very expensive pie. Yep. Remember you saying the generational lows are often after the Fed pivots before they scream higher. Yeah, because they're not going to pivot, right? Until things get worse. And then when things get worse, it's like usually too late, right? Remember, inflation's transitory. Oh, 2-3%, it's not going to last. 4%, 5%. No. Wrong. Is physical gold a better play than silver, platinum, palladium? That's a hard question. Silver, to me, has the most upside. Platinum and palladium are a little crazier, a little less crazy than silver. And gold is your just safe haven, right? So a lot of that sometimes depends on supply, demand. Like supply meaning platinum, palladium, places around the world where the stuff, I used to know a little more about that stuff. Where the mines are and how geopolitics is going on. But that's what sucks about the miners, right? Is like a gold miner can be caught in Australia, and Australia falls off the deep end, goes into the crapper. Then what happens, right? Like those companies can absolutely get destroyed, like stock-wise. People don't think about that, Canada falls into crap and they start raising taxes and doing crazy stuff. Freaking Canadians. You guys listening, I don't know how you put up with it. You guys have a special person, just like we do, running our country. It's pretty sad, actually, that we have a bunch of idiots running the world, but that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, everybody likes gold. As you should, right? What did they say? The total amount of gold on the discovered fills up a freaking NFL stadium. Right? That's all that's available in the whole world. I don't know what the platinum or palladium potential is, but yeah. 7:30 Pacific time will be interesting every day this week. 7:30 Pacific time. Well, there's news. Let me go check briefing. Good old briefing. Good old briefing. I have it written down. PPI Tuesday, Empire State Manufacturing. Retail sales Wednesday, industrial capacity utilization, business inventory, NHAB, oil inventories Wednesday. Thursday, housing starts, building permits, claims, Philly Fed, nat gas inventories. Existing home sales leading indicators on Thursday. I mean, interesting. I think the market will probably have more reaction to the retail sales, but they're expecting retail sales to be up, Drew. Their prior were flat. They're expecting 0.9 to 0.6 up. Retail sales. NHAB, yeah, housing stuff has definitely fallen off. PPI, expecting it to be in line. We'll see. Goldilocks. What is Goldilocks here? I'll end it as, what is Goldilocks for the market near term? Inflation coming down. The Fed's trying to talk the market off a cliff. And seasonality, potentially. Now, tax loss selling, this is the biggest question, right? Obviously, if you sold tech in a wash sale, you're not buying it back. Hence why I think certain names are doing better than others. But if you want to see hyperdrive, ludicrous speed drop, then you're going to see tax loss selling continue to end the year. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I own Meta, I'd be dumping the crap out of that thing, trying to get as big a loss as possible to freaking offset our wins, but I don't think like that. Soxis, you got your inverse ETFs. I mean, everything plays out in time. I guess I'll end it with this key word. Whatever you end up doing, layer in. If you think you're going to pick the top and you're going to nail it, I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably not. I'm probably not either. Yeah, another Jay Powell speech. No doubt when they say we're not pivoting. Just keep that in mind. As much as you want to pretend whatever, fantasy that you're going to pick the top and the price that you get in is going to be perfect and everything is going to work out. Oh, damn, cat. You really want to get in my lap. Yeah, layering in, layering out. Trade the market. Just remember, I've said it and I'll say it again. What? The first top probably gets bought. Will we not agree? Do you see why the psychology to why the first dip gets bought? Hey guys, did you not see they upgraded the S&P 500 targets to 6,500 in 2 years? Did you not see? Bullish. Right? It's the same thing why the first pop off the lows usually has some sort of backup, right? The world's ending. You can't buy it now. Oh my God, I forgot. I gotta sell. Y'all see how that works? Y'all see how that works? Like that first top probably is going to have some sort of retest or lower high. All right. I appreciate all the love, support, donations, super chats. I guess there wasn't super chats today. Yeah, upgrades and buddy passes, all sorts of stupid. Like, oh, upgrading now? Huh? Hey, let's upgrade. Remember the AMD, Apple upgrades at the high? Remember the UBS upgrade? Oh my God, right before it dumped. Things of beauty. So I appreciate everybody. You know, if you got questions, ask. But if you do the work, and I can tell, because usually questions that are accompanied by ABC circumstances, I'm still not sure, makes sense. I'm here to help. But if you just want me to be Jim Cramer to tell you how to trade, I'm telling you right now, you don't. You do not want to put your power in someone else's hands. Now again, guiding, teaching, mentoring makes sense. But ultimately, you need to be comfortable pulling the trigger. You need to be comfortable setting your stops. You need to be comfortable anticipating the moves. You got to be comfortable letting winners run. You got to be comfortable trading around your positions and your core position. This stuff is not easy. And I'm telling you right now, if you can figure out how to trade in a bear market, well, then a bull market's pretty damn easy. Seasonality still matters, but at least when you buy stuff, it typically goes higher later. So you can you can make small mistakes and still be okay. Now you can't. But this is where you get that kind of mental edge to be thorough / resilient. I'm telling you right now, there's people who made money, took time off, people who've been trading fully, people are doing some here, some there, whatever fits your personality. That's why I always try to tell people, like, there's no one way to invest other than don't day trade all the time. I will never get behind that because there is such a psychological condition that comes over you when you day trade that you do not realize you can literally not control your own actions because you are gambling all day. You get addicted. You cannot fight an addiction by doing the action of the addiction. You have to stop off on it. The brain loves power to win, loves to think that we can control the market. Oh, we know what's going to happen every minute during the 6.5-hour trading day in the United States. That is dangerous stuff. People who do it, I'm telling you, they miss the big moves. I'll end it with this story. When I first really got good at trading and I started seeing the bigger swing moves, I would tell people like, hey, I'm looking at X stock. Say it was at 25, whatever. And it would rally, and I would, I'd put out something like, hey guys, you should look at this stock at 25. It'd rise up to 30, I'd sell, and then like 2 or 3 months later, it'd be like 40 or 50. I would get the nicest messages and emails like, hey, thank you so much for putting me in that stock. I really did well. I'm assuming you did great too. And I'd be like, no, I didn't. I took a couple points and then I just watched it rise. And they're like, what? Why? And I'm like, well, because I'm more of a day trader. I'm trying to anticipate the short-term moves and be perfect. Unreal. Now, again, certain times, certain trades will work out better than others. And that's why we trade. This is why, for me personally, and most people can say, trading around the core alleviates the pressure of being completely correct. That all or nothing mentality, I'm telling you, is dangerous. Because the pressure to be right grows. If you have 100% of a position, you have to be out before the trend flips. Well, when is that going to end? And that's where I always see like folks who overtrade in the Discord room are like, hey, I'm out of this. And I'm like, I'm out of Alcoa. I bought it at 36. I'm out at 42. Great trade, Dan. I'm like, okay. And then it goes up to 50. I mean, you're going to see that sometimes. Hey, I bought GLD at 151, 153. Oh, sold it at 160. Well, now it's at 164. You don't know. But do you guys see how the pressure of all or nothing trading is one of the day trading, all or nothing trading, and pretending that you can pick the tops and bottoms with certainty and not understand the repeating patterns is exactly what the market maker is going to assume you're going to do every time. When I say you, meaning the masses. End it on that. Hopefully this was good help. Look forward to seeing everybody this week. I'll be around. Gonna try to keep an eye on what's happening. Just remember, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow, not as important. Important for me with CF, NTR, Mosaic names. I want to see those rip. I'd like to see oil and gas. I think oil, let's look at oil's doing overnight. It doesn't really matter that much. Okay, it's up 0.52%. Nat gas says it's down. I don't know. We'll see. Yep. Anyway, appreciate everybody. Have a good night. Enjoy Yellowstone or whatever you're watching. Talk to you later.